My name is Sira Boats and I am a dementia specialist, an occupational therapist of over 30 years and a daughter of dementia. And I am here to help you find hope on the dementia journey. And today we want to talk about the very important aspect of the dementia journey that we maybe don't unpack as we should and as many times as we should, and that is grief and loss. And how do we navigate grief and loss? I think we're all familiar with grief process as it relates to the loss of a loved one or maybe a pet, and where it is the sudden extraction of somebody's presence from your life, and then you grieve that loss. We need to understand that in the dementia journey that it's normal to feel ongoing grief and loss of a person that you love, whether you are directly taking care of their needs or whether you are involved at a distance. So grief and loss is very much part of the dementia journey, but there is hope in that. Number one is that is a process of growth as you move through the dementia journey, a process of spiritual growth and personal growth as you accept and get to know what this journey is going to take from you. But it's very important that you're able to recognize the different stages of grief and loss so that you can be empowered. It's also important to remember that you may go through various stages at various times. Grief and loss is not a linear process. Yes, there are different stages, but you may go through some of those stages, all of them on the same day. So they don't happen one a day. It fluctuates, ebbs and flows, and the intensity in which you're experiencing the different stages of grief or loss may also fluctuate. And it's going to be different for person to person. If you are siblings in a situation with a parent that's walking the dementia journey, your grief and loss is not going to look the same. And the way you go through the different stages are not going to look the same. So it's very important to keep that in mind. And it's very important not to compare yourself to somebody else in that situation. And do not hold expectations of how it should look like. It's going to look different on every given day, and it's going to look different depending on your situation. But let's talk about the stages, because I think that helps us to recognize and understand how to respond. So the first one is denial. The second one is anger. The third one is bargaining. The fourth one, depression. And the last one, acceptance. Now, also know that this is a very complex emotional status, grief and loss. These are just trying to manage that in 5 categories of emotional response. That doesn't mean that that's the only 5 responses that exists in grief and loss. Okay, but this is just the most common ones that we see. So let's talk about denial. Denial is a defense mechanism. It helps us to manage shock. And it's okay to be in denial as you are processing information, as you are trying to come to grasp with things that's happening to you or happening to in your environment. You may in denial, you may see someone refusing to accept reality or what's happening. You may see someone, or you yourself may feel like you don't want to talk about it, because when you talk about it, it just brings the pain to the forefront. So you avoid at all cost to talk about the intensity of the emotions and the impact of this diagnosis. And it may be that you encounter someone that downplays it, or you may find yourself that you put some humor in it and you downplay that effects, and that's another coping mechanism. I do want to point out too that this is not exclusive to the dementia journey. This grief and loss experience can be for anyone that has a chronic illness or maybe a terminal diagnosis. This scenario of going through different feelings is normal for a lot of different situations that relates to our health and our wellness. Anger is the second one on our grief and loss list, and anger speaks for itself, and it's just acting out as reality sets in, and it may also be related to the inability to find solutions, that frustration that's building up, and the lack of control over what's happening. So anger is normal. Bargaining is when we are trying to maybe talk to a higher being to see if we can come up with bargaining chips so that this will not happen, or maybe that it won't play out to the fullest extreme. And that's also normal. Also, it is a play at control to try and avoid the full impact of our knowledge and to see if maybe there's some way we can get out of it. So a normal coping mechanism. Depression is when we're facing that inevitability and we may feel overwhelmed, sadness, despair. This is also a place of not having hope. And we may be able to overcome that with seeking resources, seeking knowledge, seeking hope, knowing this is not the end of the road and that we still can have joy in that situation. Acceptance comes when we have looked at the situation from different angles. We have gathered the information we need. We have a strategy. We have the knowledge, and we feel empowered to handle the situation for what it is. So there are, as we have kind of touched on throughout this discussion, there are a few things that we can do to cope, to help us not be derailed by our grief and loss. First off, we need to accept it. We need to know that this is a normal response to the trauma of a diagnosis or the trauma of a dramatic change in a situation that we did not choose. And talking about our feelings with a friend, family member, maybe with a dementia support group where there are peers that's going through the situation with us, or enlisting a counselor if you have to. That's perfectly fine. You can contact the Alzheimer's Association. They have so many resources. They have a telephone helpline that you can call 24/7. The important thing is that you know you're not alone and there's other people on this journey with you. And then, of course, listening to podcasts or watching videos like this where you're gaining information, where you are feeding your soul with hope, where you are connected to real-time information in the here and now. That's another strategy to allow yourself to be empowered so that you can move forward with courage. And then, of course, there are a lot of hope on the dementia journey, such as lifestyle changes, such as implementing exercises and better eating habits, better sleeping habits, changing your choices on that type of activities that you keep your brain busy with. So there is a lot of hope. Watch our videos for more on that. And this just helps for you to be empowered to have a joyful journey. And that's why we are here, is to helping you find joy and hope on the dementia journey. I hope this was helpful to you. Please follow us for more, and please sign up for our newsletter, our caregiver support groups at our website, boatsmemorymethod.com. Thank you for watching.